All right. Hello, everyone. I was trying to show how to use the knockout method to create a t-shirt, a design for a t-shirt transfer. And this is using the t-shirt transfer, not using HTV, though you can use it for HTV as well if you are going to layer with multiple colors. So I'm going to show you really quickly how to do the knockout method. Okay. All right. So the first thing you want to do is on the left hand side of your screen, you're going to select your text, and I am going to keep it just like I did on yesterday. All right, with Knockout, you want to use a font that is pretty thick because it helps to bring the knockout to life. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my font here on the left, and I am going to change this to Impact. I'm going to look for Impact, and I can tell right off the bat this is Impact. So you can see how thick it is. So as long as you find a font that's pretty thick, you wouldn't want to do Knockout with something like this single layer cutting here for the HP Simplified Light or the Simple Celebrations. Like, these don't work very well with Knockout with the process I'm about to show you. So I'm going to select Impact. And you can see the difference here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to reduce the spacing in between each word, okay? So to do that, you just make sure that you've highlighted your text, and then you're going to come up to the top here, and you're going to select the down arrow. You have an up and a down arrow for line space. You're going to select the down arrow. So you're just going to hit that down arrow, and as I hit it, you can tell that my spacing in between my words is decreasing, and that's what you want to do. So I'm just going to keep hitting the down arrow. And you're going to keep doing that, but you do not want the letters to touch. So you're keeping an eye on it to make sure that it doesn't touch. All right, so that's really good. And if you're not sure whether the letters are touching or not, you have this plus and minus and plus sign down here in the bottom left corner. This is where you can actually increase and decrease what you're working on so that you can see it better. Okay, so I'm going to blow it up just so you can see that my letters are not touching. Okay, after you decrease the line spacing, you want to decrease the letter spacing. So right to the left of line space, you have letter space. Again, you want to make sure you selected your text and you have an up and down arrow. If you wanted to increase the spacing of your letters, then you would use the up arrow, but we want to decrease. So we're going to use the down arrow again, and you're going to notice my letters are moving to the left. And again, I'm going to shift them, but I don't want them to touch. Okay, so that's pretty good. The next thing I'm going to do is I may have a little bit of room where I can move this T and this O over just a little bit. So again, I'm going to select my text, and then on the right hand side, right up under my type of cutting machine or layers, I'm going to hit Ungroup. And this is going to allow me to actually drag each individual letter if I want to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here with the T, not like that. I'm going to start here and take this part of the word, and now I can shift that T over just a little bit, not to where it's touching, but just a bit here. Okay, so that's a little bit better, but it's not touching the O. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this part. All I'm doing is just clicking and highlighting these last few letters. I'm going to click off of that T because I don't want to include the T. That one is pretty good. So there we go. So I just shifted a little bit, but it's not touching the T. So that's really good. I'm going to now take and highlight each word, and then I'm going to group it in the top right corner. So the same thing with notorious, highlight it, group it. RBG, highlight it, group it. So now each word has its own line, and that's what you want to do. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the size of my letters. So I'm going to take this back down to normal size here at 100, just so that I can tell the real difference in my words. So I'm just going to take this. I'm going to unlock it here on the left-hand side. You have a little lock. I'm going to click that one time to unlock it. This will change this little icon to a four-way arrow where you can move it up, left, down, or right. Notice when it's locked, you can only drag it out downward. But when you unlock it, it allows you to drag it down and also over. Okay, so I'm going to put my the like this, and I can change the sizing later, but right now I just want to get my letters a decent size. So we're going to start here. Now, once you ungroup it, you no longer have access to line space and letter space. So you'll have to continue to ungroup from this point, and you also have no access to change the font. Okay, so you're stuck with this font once you ungroup. Now, not really stuck. You would have to start over with the different text box. But as far as these, we can't change the font from here. So before you ungroup, always make sure that's the font you want. All right, so I'm going to ungroup the, and then I'm going to catch this H and this E, and I'm going to move them over to the left because remember, we want to decrease the spacing. Okay, but not to where it's touching. I'm going to shift that E a little bit, and then I'm going to shift the T just a tad bit to the right. There we go. That looks good. So I'm going to take and highlight this and group it back together. You want to make sure that you don't forget to group it back together. Otherwise, it's going to be individual letters and you don't want that. So again, I'm going to unlock, and then I'm going to drag notorious out. And you don't want to make it go past. You want to make it almost kind of like the sizing you want it to be, like a box, to where it doesn't go outside of the previous row. Okay, that's pretty good there. All right, and I'm going to shift it up here. There we go. All right, so that looks pretty good. So I'm not going to move the spacing here. And then we have RBG. Again, we are going to, let me lock these back. We're going to unlock it. And then we're going to drag it using that right little icon that gives us the up and down, left, right ability. So again, you're dragging it, but not going past, because you want to make it look like it was really a square. And again, make sure your letters are not touching. That G was a little bit too close to that U. All right, and I'm going to shift these letters over here on RBG. So I'm just going to move B over a little bit to the left. There we go. Then I'm going to group it back. And then I'm going to drag it just a little bit more here. There we go. All right, so it's okay that the Notorious is a little bit thinner, and that's because the and the RBG, they kind of look a little bit closer and similar, and that's because I'm only working with 3 letters compared to the Notorious. You're working with more letters. So now I'm going to take, and since I have this about like I want it, I'm going to take it now, and on the bottom right side of your screen, you're going to select Weld because you want this to be just one layer. So you can see now all those layers that we had over here with each individual letter, we've now grouped it all together and welded it. So it's now just one layer. Okay. The next thing is you're going to look for your image that you want to use with the knockout. So I've already uploaded mine. And this works better, guys, if you're not working with a background. So I did remove the background from her picture here. So I'm just going to insert image. And because her top here is black, I'm going to change my letter color. So you just go up to the top, and I'm going to go with this deeper red. Deeper red. All right. And then this part right here, guys, you're going to unlock your image and you want to size it. And I don't want to distort it where it looks weird. So be careful when you're dragging it that it still looks nice and proportioned. You can leave it locked and drag it to keep the proportion width and height, but I just use my eyes. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm going to right click on her picture and I'm going to send it to the back. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to make sure that her eyes are in the picture, okay? So you can see right now that if I do a knockout now, this part of her eye is going to be missing, that part of her eye is going to be missing, and I don't like that. So I'm going to shift my letters here just a little bit downward. Okay. So I'm going to increase my sizing on my letters just a little bit. And then I'm going to move them up a little bit because I want to make sure that I get the top of her head. Okay, so I do not want the top of her head not in here. Okay, let's see. So we got her eye, we got her nose, a little bit of the eyes missing right there. So let me see if I kind of shift it a little bit. So you can see what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make sure I got the majority of her face in the picture. All right. So I think that looks pretty good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now select all of the image and the text together like that. And in the bottom right of my screen, I'm going to select slice. Okay. So what I'm looking for is I want the red outline. I'm looking on the right side of my screen. I want the red outline. I want the notorious RBG. So I know I'm not going to use this part of the slice. So I'm going to delete that by just clicking on the eye for right now. And I also want the majority of her face. So you can tell between these two, this one has really taken a lot of the facial features out. So I'm going to hide that one as well, just by clicking on the eye. And that's your knockout, guys. So I don't have to shift it around, move it around. Everything is in order. And I'm just now going to highlight this. And then I'm going to group it on the top right here. And then since I'm using this as a t-shirt transfer, I am going to click flatten in the bottom right corner. That's going to change it from a cut file to a cut and print. So this will allow you to be able to print it on your t-shirt transfer and then take it. And I would highly recommend that you just cut this out by hand, just cutting it in the shape of a square here, instead of putting it into your cutting machine. And the reason being is once you put it into your cutting machine, all this spacing that you see here, your machine is going to cut all of these letters out because it's still a cut and print file. Okay. And so you want to make sure that you still have that background. And it's going to be really nice, guys, because I'm going to show you here. If you want to see what it's going to look like on your t-shirt, always just, if you're not working with the template for a t-shirt design, just take and put a square. So I'm just going to put a square here, right click and send to back. Put that square behind your image and it's going to show you what it's going to look like. So if you have if you leave that white shape, I'm going to show you here. If you leave this in the form of a square. Okay. And then change this to white. That's what your image is going to look like on your black t-shirt. Okay. So it'll be okay to have a little bit of that white around there because otherwise your RBG that has the black in it, if you take away this white, and I'm just going to hide the white for a second, it's going to, kind of distort the black on black here and make it not be as visually appealing. So I'm going to bring the white back just so you can see the difference here. So print it out, cut it out by hand, because otherwise, again, Cricut Design Space is going to, not Cricut Design Space, but your cutting machine is going to cut out each individual letter. And trust me, you do not want that with a t-shirt transfer, okay? All right, now the other thing is this is now a cut and print. So the largest you're going to be able to have this image, that's why you have this little rectangle with the exclamation mark inside of it. You're going to have to adjust the sizing. And when you click on it, it tells you your image is too large. You need to reduce it to 6.75 by 9.25. So I'm just going to go here and select 6.75 and tab. And then I'm going to unlock this because if I don't, it's going to change the first, the width. So I unlock it here, right between the width and the height, and I'm going to change that to 9.25. 9.25 and tab. So that's the largest you'll be able to do in a cut and print. Now you may not want it that large. It just, if you're trying to get it as large as you can in Cricut Design Space for cut and print, that is the largest. Okay, 6.75 by 9.25. And let's see what's going on here. 6.75, 925. So I'm not sure why it's still showing this wonky message, but I'm going to go ahead and delete these out because I don't need them. And let me just make sure I put my sizing in right. 6.75. Okay, so something was in that first number, even though it looked like 6.75, something wasn't in there. All right, so at this point, guys, if you're ready to make your t-shirt transfer, all you have to do is just click on Make It in the top right corner. And with t-shirt transfer, if you're using a dark color t-shirt, then you do not mirror at this point. If you're using a light color t-shirt, you want to select mirror here on your left hand side. You just click that button and it's going to put her image in reverse. The reason it does that is because on light color t-shirts, you're just going to take this, put it into your printer, put your paper into your printer so that it prints the image out. And then you're going to take it and cut around this black line yourself. Do not put this in your cutting machine. And then you are going to lay this face down on your t-shirt and put your t-shirt covering the little extra sheet that comes in to protect your transfer. You're going to put that on top of your transfer sheet, but your image should be face down on that light color t-shirt, and then you iron it on. Okay, but make sure that you use that extra sheet that comes in your t-shirt transfer package to put it on top to help protect your image. Now, if you're using dark color t-shirt, you're gonna deselect mirror. Actually, you would not have selected mirror at all for dark color t-shirts. And then you're gonna go ahead and print this out and then cut around it yourself. Okay, that white border will be fine. Just make sure the black line is cut out because otherwise you'll be ironing that black line on your shirt. But, make sure you just cut out that black line, just cut around that. And then you're going to take this, once it's printed out, you're going to peel the back off of that dark t-shirt transfer sheet. You're going to peel the back off, and then you're going to lay this down with her face up or with your image facing you. And then you're going to put your t-shirt iron-on protector sheet. You're going to put that on top and then iron it onto your t-shirt. So dark t-shirts, you mirror. Light t-shirts, you do not. Dark t-shirts have a backing that you're going to peel off and you iron the image on face up with the t-shirt protector on top of the image so you can protect the image. And then light color, you mirror. You don't have anything to peel off of the transfer sheet. You're just going to lay your image face down on your t-shirt, put your t-shirt protector sheet on top, and iron it on. All right. And that's pretty much it, guys. So you would just hit continue to go ahead and do your cut and print it out. And I always select cardstock when I'm using transfer sheets. So I just select cardstock and I leave it at its default pressure. So if I click here and say I've already printed it, I'm going to show you what options I would choose. I would select medium cardstock here and I would leave the default pressure. So at that point, I would go ahead and load my image. If I was truly going to cut it, I would load my image. But since I'm not cutting it out, and again, I highly recommend you don't, with your cutting machine, if you have a background, let me do this right quick because I don't want to confuse you. If you don't want to cut it out yourself, I'm going to show you how you can avoid that. You're just going to take a shape, square, and right off the bat, we're going to say unlock it, and you're going to change it to 6.75 by 9.25, and it's going to give us the same size as our design here, and then just change it to white or whatever color you want to make it so that you don't have to cut it out. I'm going to right click it and send it to back. So now there's a white background behind her. So I'm just going to take it and group the two of them together and flatten. And just make sure it doesn't change your sizing here. So again, make sure you have 6.75 and 9.25. Okay, so now you would be able to take this and just hit make it. And now you don't have to worry about cutting this out yourself. You could go ahead, print it out, put it into your cutting machine, and because you put that white border behind here, then your cutting machine will just cut a square. Okay, so that's one way that you can get away from having to cut this out yourself if you're freaked out about that and afraid that you won't get it cut out, the lines even. So just put a black border behind your image, whatever color you want to make it, and then it will cut, your cutting machine will just cut a square instead of cutting out these individual letters. All right. All right, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm more than willing to help you. And for those of you that are a part of my Facebook group, Candors's Cricut and Creative Crafters, thank you guys so much for being in my group. And if you are currently subscribed to my YouTube channel, thank you so much for being a subscriber to my channel. And please like and share and tell others about my Facebook group in addition to my YouTube channel. All right, guys. And my motto is each one reach one so that each one can teach one. You guys have a great day.